sun and shade using Honeybee version 1.4, and in this video I'm going to be walking you through the latest template that I've put out for my class on regenerative building performance. This template has grown over the course of the semester and has gotten quite verbose, and so I wanted to make sure that everybody who's approaching this latest assignment understands what has come before. And so rather than creating everything from scratch, I'm going to show you how to use the template that I've created. Now the template is composed of three parts. In these cyan colors with the numbers, that was from the first series of assignments on heat. With the purple squares with the letters, that was from the second set of assignments on ventilation and air. And in this set of assignments on sun, I've got these pink squares with the numbers 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, so you can follow along. And this corresponds to the steps in the assignment as well. So I'm going to walk you through each one of these three, how to set up your model, and this is going to build on everything that we've done for the past few weeks. So when you get this, the first thing I want to let you know is that many of the visualizations in the results I have disabled. So for example, this heat map here, I can go to visualize, and it will turn that heat map on, as you can see right here. But everything just goes faster when it's disabled, like so. And so for the time being, I'm just going to keep it off. Second thing is, as you get the model, actually I'm going to turn this off so it doesn't keep running. You're going to want to use the inputs from the person that came before you, starting with the zone geometry. So all of this zone geometry is baked in or internalized, I guess you could say. So this geometry, for example, is internalized, but you're going to want to use your own geometry that the person before you was using. That includes both your zone, your thermal zone that's representative of your building or a part of your building, as well as any overshadowing context buildings, trees, etc. And so the zone itself, you will use this geometry to assign a new geometry based on your specific building design. And then for any large shading like buildings or trees, you can use these guys here. So this is for the surrounding buildings, and then this one is for that overhang that is right there. And again, the geometry itself is just simply that. Now, in this assignment, we're going to be asking you to input manually the windows and sunshades. So I'm going to skip this portion right here that talks about the apertures by ratio. This is something that was done in previous assignments, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to show you an alternate method. So now we go to 1, 2, and then 3 would be here. Make sure that your compass rotation is correct. In my case, I've got it 20 degrees east of north. Number 4 is, where's number 4? Is assigning the correct program. So the building program is there. I've assigned it a large office, and then within that, the large office, there are 23 different options for sub-programs. I've selected, in this case, the 17th index, which is the open office. You can see that right there. And that, in turn, dictates many of the underlying assumptions for the program, including the density of people, how much lighting, the equipment that's being used, as well as infiltration, ventilation, and thermostat set points. We'll be manually changing some of these in a second. So that's number 4. Number 5 are the constructions. Make sure that you've assigned according to your climate zone and construction type to get a construction set. That will go into this base construction set, which then applies to any walls, roofs, floors, and windows that you assign or that are in your zone. And you can see these deconstructed right here, so you can decide if these are appropriate for your zone or if you'd like to use something else. If you'd like to use something else, then you can build up these custom walls that I've got for you. Remember the Oreo cookie of thermal mass and insulation and thermal mass. And then, so that's for the walls right there. If you do use that, make sure you connect the construction into this exterior wall and then connect the exterior wall into the exterior subset like that. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to keep the defaults for these sets of runs. Same with the roof, same with the floor, and we'll be talking more about the window in a second, but for now, make sure that you've got your the windows that your partner assigned. They were working on the U value in particular. So when that is assigned here, then you need to make sure that this subface set is plugged into the construction set right there. You can check that by following this to here, looking at the window, and then you can see the window construction right there. It just says it's custom window, custom glass. If you want to know more about that, you can plug it in here and it will tell you the U factor, the SHGC, and the visible transmittance. If you've got operable windows, then make sure you're looking at the right one. I've made this mistake before, so there. Now I'm looking at the operable windows. In this case, they're the same because when I go to window, right here, construction goes to both window and operable window, like so. Okay, so then number 6 is to make sure you've got the right weather file. Make sure to assign the right file path for your weather file. Make sure to assign the right directory. Your operating system probably doesn't have my name in it. Number 7 is to assign the window to wall ratio by orientation, but don't worry about this for now. We'll get to this. Actually, yeah, you should, sorry, I'm going to contradict myself. You should assign the window to wall ratio by orientation the same as your partner had for now, because you're going to check and make sure that you can recreate what your partner did. And then same for the skylights, that's number 8. And then where is number 9? Number 9 is the window we already talked about. Number 10 is the constructions we already talked about. 11, 12, and 13 is the insulation and mass associated with those. And then number 14 and 15 I skipped because those were separate steps that I asked you to analyze the graphs and things. Number 16 is to make sure that your program is correct. If you have any overrides for the people density or lighting density or equipment density, you can add those in there. We'll be talking about the thermostat set points in a second when we get to ventilation. And that is it for the first number of assignments. That's the cyan colors. In the next one, we looked at ventilation and all things related to ventilation. So I'm going to start with letter A, which is this heating and cooling COP. Remember the coefficient of performance. Make sure that these are set to 2.5 and 4, which were the most efficient systems that we were looking at. Then we'll go to letter B, which is the infiltration. We're going to all model some tight buildings here, so make sure that you've got this set to 0.0001 and that the infiltration is actually connected to the program type and overriding. And then C is here. This is the economizer. The economizer is the fresh air intake into the HVAC system that's providing fresh air and some free cooling. That's why it's called an economizer. So we're going to use the economizer. We're going to have it set to demand controlled ventilation, which means that it's on when people are there. And then we're going to also use a heat recovery ventilator with a 70% efficiency. And then D is, in the original assignment, it was an experiment to see what would happen if you have zero ventilation. Let's not do that because we don't want the people in your buildings to suffocate. So skip over D, and then E is to set the thermostat setback, the thermostat schedule, and you just make sure that you've got here what your partner had done so that you can be consistent about the temperature set points and the schedules, both for the heating setback as well as the cooling setback. Those are those two. You can skip over F.A, but for F.B, you're going to have to use your partner's template file. I'm going to go to another file so you can see this, and go to this number holder and right click on it and click internalize data like that, and then press Control-C to copy it, go to your template, press Control-V, and then hook it up to that evaluate, and then I'm going to delete the other. So now, and you can ignore this, this, and that. This is now the internalized data, and it's going to recreate the natural ventilation availability schedule that your partner created. After doing that, you can proceed with F.C, which is to make a exhaust fan mechanical ventilation if you chose that as the best strategy, or G, which is to have natural ventilation if you chose that to have the best strategy. Choose one or the other, but not both. So if you've got the mechanical ventilation, then you're going to want to connect like that. If you've got natural ventilation, then it's going to connect here. And that's it for that. So G, and is there an H? I don't remember. I think that might be it. Yeah, H was to create the graphs and export everything and annotate it. So that's the setup. And in the next videos, I will guide you through the new parts for this assignment that are in pink in this series of, in this template. So I will talk to you later.